Hello and welcome to www.luxurytolast.com. Today we're talking classic luxury cars, and one of my favourite classic luxury cars is the Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow. And the Silver Shadow I've got a particularly soft spot for because it was actually the first Rolls-Royce that I ever drove. It was a Silver Shadow. And the Silver Shadow itself there, it also had a long wheelbase version, which was the Silver Wraith. And basically the Shadow and the Wraith were very similar, except the Wraith was slightly longer because it had the extra space for the rear passengers. The Silver Shadow itself came out in 1965, and it lasted until 1980, when it was actually replaced by the Silver Spirit. The Shadow itself was the first Rolls-Royce to use a monocoque chassis, and basically the monocoque chassis was a situation where it's an integral part of the car. So instead of sending a chassis off to a coach builder to make the body that the customer wanted, it was sort of the first Rolls-Royce that used the monocoque chassis, which meant that the work of coach builders was significantly reduced. The Shadow itself has also got the claim to fame as being the largest production volume of any Rolls-Royce, and I can certainly, having driven many Shadows myself, I can certainly see why. And it was a very advanced car for 1965. I can remember driving a Rolls-Royce in about 2007 and thinking to myself, geez, this is still a very modern car. When I was actually driving a Series 1 Shadow, which was a fairly old car, and it was still very, very modern in the sense that it had electric windows, it had lovely seats, it had an automatic transmission. It had many features which you just take for granted, and it certainly kept pace. There aren't too many cars made in the 60s on the road today that you could say, gee, this keeps pace with modern vehicles, and the Rolls-Royce Shadow, Silver Shadow, is one such vehicle. The Rolls-Royce Shadow itself, it actually measures 224 inches, or 5,700 millimeters. The weight is 2,100 kilos, and originally in its first year of production had a book price of £6,557. The Silver Shadow, as I've mentioned, was produced from 65 to 1980. The Series 1 went from 65 to 1976. The Series 2 from 1977 to 1980. And I must say the Shadow was a big advance over the predecessor, which was the Cloud. And I have driven a Cloud, and you can certainly say the Shadow was a huge step forward for Rolls-Royce in the mid-60s. And I must say, even though it was the first monocoque, it was certainly an evolution, not a revolution. Rolls-Royce doesn't change things hugely. And I must say, out of all the variants of the Shadow, my favourite is the Series 1 with the chrome bumpers, because the Series 2 had the rubber type bumpers. So in my own opinion itself, I think the Series 2 is the Series 1 is the most aesthetically beautiful car there. And I've had the pleasure of driving a Wraith as well, and I must say you normally don't notice much difference. The Wraith is a slightly longer version of the vehicle. You normally don't notice the difference when you are driving it, but I must say the Shadow I've got a intense soft spot for. It's a very luxurious British car, and this was the 60s when Britain was only 20 years after World War II had finished. So you've got to put that into a time into its proper context. And this was a very luxurious car for the time, and I think the Shadow is probably the most easily identifiable car. If you ask someone what does a Rolls-Royce look like, and you show them a picture of their Shadow, they'll say, yes, that's it there. And I really do love the Shadow. The unfortunate thing is a lot of Shadows are going into are coming into old age, and they haven't had the money put into them, which is unfortunate. But as far as the Shadows go, a restored Shadow or a nice condition Shadow is a fantastic ride, and I really am honoured to have driven the vehicle. Thanks very much now for looking at my clip, and please don't forget to come to my free information website www.luxurytolast.com. Heaps of product reviews on quality wristwatches, luxury goods and other cars. Thanks very much.